Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a bit of a different video for you, and today I am going to be talking about cry-worthy books. Books that have made me cry. So I thought that I don't cry easily when it comes to books, but apparently I do for various different reasons, whether it's for good reasons, bad reasons, something I find really uplifting and something that's just emotional in any kind of way, something that's sad. So I will be trying to keep this video spoiler free. But it might not be possible with some of the books I'm going to talk about. But if I'm going to talk about a spoiler, I will give you a warning. So if the book I'm talking about, I'm going to be spoiling it, I will obviously hold that book up while I speak about it. And once I'm done talking about it and put the book down, then obviously the spoilers will end. So fair warning now. So the first one, well, two I have to talk about are from the same series. And that's the Hunger Games series, which is The Hunger Games and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. If you're familiar with this series, you know that this is the first one and the third one, by the way. It's a dystopian series where everything, like this, everywhere is split up into districts. You obviously have District 1, District 2, District 3, right up until District 12. And it's all about a competition called the Hunger Games, where the capital, which is the main area, constructs this like competition to remind people that there were consequences if they rise up and cause a rebellion, basically. And it takes 24 children from the ages of 12 to 18, puts them in an arena for the capital's entertainment, where these children have to fight until death, until they have one victor who will win food and healthcare for their district for like a full year. So obviously things happen and people die. So I'm going to kind of get into spoilers now a little bit for these, so if you don't want to hear the spoilers, wait until I put the books down. So obviously in the first one, it's the first time Katniss is in the arena, and obviously children die. One particular death really, always every time, I've just recently reread this, this is like the fourth time actually that I've reread this, and a character called Rue, who is the youngest in the arena, who's 12 years old, dies, and her and Katniss become friends, they become allies, and Katniss looks after her, and she dies, and every single time I read this, I cry, even though I know it's coming. I recently rewatched the movie as well after reading this, and seeing it is even worse, I will just cry. It's one of the worst character deaths that I've read about. I absolutely love Rue, adore Rue. She's such a sweet, lovely little 12-year-old girl, and it broke my heart. And this one, again, getting into spoilers for this one now. If you've read the trilogy, you'll know what I'm talking about. Obviously, because it's the third one, there is a few deaths that occur in this book. The worst one for me in this book was Finnick Odair, who we first see in Catching Fire, which is the second one, which I'm rereading at the moment. But yeah, Finnick dies in this one, and it breaks my heart. He has literally just had the chance to be with Annie, a girl he has loved for a long time. She's pregnant, and then he's killed, and it breaks my heart. Finnick is one of my favourite characters out of any books that I've ever read. And Katniss's little sister, Primrose Everdeen Prim, dies in this one as well. There is a rebellion in this one. Everybody starts fighting back against the capital and all the government and everything, and there are loads of people that are injured, and Prim is training to be a nurse, so she wants to help these people, and as she's assisting these people and helping these people, bombs are dropped on her and all these people who are injured, so obviously she kind of just gets blown up to death, basically just gets blown up and she's killed, and that really upset me as well. So yeah, every time I reread these, I will cry, and I'm not looking forward to this one next, because I'm rereading Catching Fire. I know this one's coming. So they are really sad. Obviously, I know they're dystopian, and I know because of the situation they're in and the circumstances, people are going to die, but it's still really hard to read about. The next one I have to talk about is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is a prequel trilogy before the Mortal Instruments series. And again, if you're familiar with this, you'll know what I'm talking about in this book when certain things happen to certain characters. It's like a steampunk kind of trilogy. It's like historical fiction, fantasy historical fiction, which I don't normally like, but I love these. I recently listened to the first book, Clockwork Angel, on audio, and I highly recommend the audiobook. The audiobook was really good, and I'm going to be listening to the second one again soon. But yeah, okay, I'm going to get into spoilers again about this one, because obviously I can't talk about books that have made me cry without kind of telling you as to why. So yeah, spoilers coming. People who've read this know it's all about a girl called Tessa Gray who gets taken in by the Shadowhunters, who are Jem Carstairs and William Herondale, and it's kind of a love triangle that goes on between them. She can't well, she loves both of them for different reasons in different ways, and they all look after each other. And it's the only love triangle that I've ever been on board with. But in this one, Will dies. Will Herondale dies. Tessa is a warlock, so obviously she's going to live a very long time. And yeah, she lives her life with Will. They have kids. They get married. And then he dies. And all the way through it, I liked Will. He wasn't one of my favourite characters. I did like Will quite a lot. But when he died, because of how Cassandra Clare managed to write that, I was crying while I was out reading. It was so sad. I love Jem. Jem is my favourite character in this trilogy. But Will dying really broke my heart. It really did break my heart. After all the trials and tribulations that him and Tessa go through, all the difficulties they face to actually just be together in the first place. They obviously get to live a long life together and they have kids and they are happy. But then he dies, and it's one of the worst character, not worst character deaths. Well, yeah, one of the worst character deaths to read about because it was just so sad. But yeah, I do still highly recommend this trilogy. Obviously, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, if you have heard the spoilers, then that's kind of your fault. I did give you a warning, but yeah, I did love this trilogy despite that. The next one I have to talk about isn't anything sad. It's happy tears. So there's no spoilers really, and that is Keeper of the Lost City's Exile, which is the second book in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series by Shannon Messenger. And as you can see from the front cover, there is a unicorn, but in this universe, she's called an alicorn. Her name is Sylvanie, and Sophie, our main character, spoke about the first book before. She's a telepath, so she can communicate with people, and she's a polyglot, which means she can pick up different languages without actually studying anything. She can understand languages with ease, and she befriends this alicorn called Sylvanie, and Sylvanie gets taken to the animal sanctuary that Sophie helps run with her adoptive parents, and forms the best bond with this alicorn that I absolutely loved reading about this. And me being me, I love animals. I really love animals. When there are animals in books, it's either one of the best things that can happen or one of the worst, because you're always worried that these animals are going to die or going to be killed. It doesn't happen in this one at all. Sylvanie is fine. The bond these two share, and because, like I said, she's a telepath, so it explains as to why afterwards, well, I won't go into it, she can communicate with this alicorn through her mind, and she teaches Sylvanie some certain words and how to understand things that are going on, how to calm down certain situations and that kind of thing, just by these few transmissions and these few words that Sylvanie learns from Sophie. And literally every time, Sophie could be doing anything throughout the day and Sylvanie would transmit something to her and talk to her, and every time this alicorn spoke to Sophie, I would get really teary. I don't know why. You don't really, obviously the alicorn can't talk, so you only ever see her saying the same 4 or 5 words, but every time she did, I would get really teary because the bond is awesome in this book. So for a change, rather than something sad happening, I was getting teary in emotion because it made me really, really happy. If you've watched How to Train Your Dragon, you know the bond between Hiccup and Toothless. It reminded me of that. It did remind me of that a bit. She does talk to Sylvanie, verbally, she does talk to her, but obviously it's not the same. But yeah, I do highly recommend the series. I absolutely love this series. I need to carry on with it soon, but I haven't got the last book, and I'm reluctant to carry on until I have the last book, because I know I'm going to want to binge the last few. But yeah, highly recommend this series. It's loads of things happen in it, but this one is definitely one of the nicest and one of the most fun out of the series. Again, crying for good reasons in this book, and that is Brain Fart, Christmas Cakes and Mistletoe Nights by Carole Matthews. I've spoken about this a few times already. I got it in a book box last year in December, and I read it around the time of Christmas and absolutely loved it. It's all about a character called Faye who's in her 40s, who looks after her ill mother, and instead of having to go out to work every day, she wants to stay to look after her mother, so she sets up a cake shop at the bottom of the house and works from home. Employs a couple of people who fast become some of her best friends, and somebody called Danny, who is like a young handyman who travels around by boat, pulls up. I say sails up, not sails. You know what I mean? It's in a boat. He basically arrives at this barge and offers to help Faye do some repairs on this cake shop. And the ending of this really, really made me happy. It was a lovely ending. I cried. Like I said, obviously that's the purpose of this video. But yes, I cried because she gets a happy ending, her friends get a happy ending, everything is tied up nicely. Characters who I really, really come to care about were happy, everything was lovely. I know it's kind of like a Christmas romance, so it's 9 times out of 10 it's gonna end in a happy ending, but it was still really nice to read about. I loved Faye as a main character. She's really, really lovely, really selfless. She's kind of flawed. She knows her weaknesses as a character, and she tries to better herself for that. And the thing that did kind of upset me as well, not make me cry, but it upset me, because she's so lovely and so selfless. People do take advantage of that sometimes, which did kind of make me angry because she's so nice. But yeah, really happy ending, really lovely, sweet, really, really lovely, sweet book. I do recommend reading this around Christmas time if you can. I don't think it matters too much because it isn't Christmas heavy. But yeah, really enjoyed this. Again, I think I will talk about spoilers with this one, so just be warned. This is a brick of a book. City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare, which is the last book in the Mortal Instruments series. So again, if you don't want to hear spoilers, mute this video, because the spoilers are coming now. So, if you're familiar with the series, you'll know there's a character who comes into it in City of Ashes, which is book 2, or City of Glass. I can't remember, because it's been a while since I've read this series. But he is known as Sebastian Verlac, when in reality he is really Jonathan Morgenstern, who turns out to be Clary's brother, her real brother, and he's part demon. All the way through the series, all these things are happening between Clary and Jonathan and Jace, and you don't know what's going to be going on and what's going to be happening and who's done what and all that kind of thing, which is what Cassandra Clare is really good at. She's really good at writing tension and keeping you guessing as to what's going to happen. But at the end of this, spoilers, fair warning, Jonathan dies at the end of this book, and Sebastian, Jonathan, whoever you want to call him, he dies at the end of this book. And even though he's a villain and he does some really terrible things and some really just morally wrong, nasty things, I was so sad when he died. So sad when he died, because of how he dies, and some things that come into fruition and things you learn about him really hit me and really upset me. He's one of my favourite villains to read about. He's written so well. He's written so well that he's not like Umbridge in Harry Potter. No matter what she does, you hate her. Do you know what I mean? But even though he's a villain, I was rooting for him. I really was rooting for him. He's got charisma, and it's easy why people would like him, even though he's a baddie, because he's good at what he does, if you know what I mean. But yeah, he dies, and how he dies was really sad. And I watched the TV show with Lee, and it's coming to an end now. And the last episode, apart from one really lovely thing that happened, the last episode was crap. The way it ended was really bad, and his death in the TV show was just washed over like it was nothing, kind of thing, which really upset me. But yeah, he dies, and it's sad, even though he's kind of horrible. But you can't help root for him. You can't help root for him. But yeah, I'm rereading this series slowly again. I'm up to City of Glass, and then I'm reading the Infernal Devices trilogy, like I said earlier. I'm listening to them on audio. And even though I know it's coming again in this one, I know what's going to happen throughout the series. I forget quite a lot, but as I'm reading, I pick up things again and remember. I'm not looking forward to reading that series again, mainly because, I mean, like I've just said, look at the size of them. This one and the one before it are huge. The last one I have to talk about is a graphic novel. And again, may contain spoilers. If I'm going to speak about spoilers, I will let you know. It is Saga Volume 9 by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. This is the last one that's out for a while. I think issue 10 is coming out sometime this year, but I'm not too sure when. I finished this one, went on Goodreads and found out the author's taking a hiatus for a bit and taking a break, which killed me because I can't wait for the last one. Well, not the last one, the next one. It's going to kill me. But yeah, again, spoilers if you don't want to hear, so fair warning at the moment, right now. I think, I'm not too sure, but because of what happens at the end, because it was left on such a spoiler, I think Marco is dead. I think Marco is dead. I'm not too sure, because he's left it and he's not doing anything for ages now. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's basically this is such a good graphic novel series. It's all about Marco and Alana, who this lady here, who are from different planets, who get together, have a relationship, obviously have sex, and have a daughter. And because of this, it's seen as a rebellious kind of act. So they're on the run. People are trying to kill them, chasing them all the way through the universe and the galaxy, trying to kill them. There's obviously wars going on, there's fighting. deception, deceit, all that kind of thing. And despite all of that, they stay together, they're happy, they live a happy life, have the lovely daughter, and at the end of this one, the girl Alana is pregnant again, so they're going to have another child. And it's killing me waiting for the next one, but I think Marco's dead, and the end of it completely took me by surprise. I didn't expect it. Sat downstairs reading it with tears in my eyes, wondering what's going to happen, being angry that I've got to wait for so long. All the way through this, I read these really quickly, and all the way through I've been invested right from the start, and various things happen all the way through this series. It does make me tear up and make me emotional. Conflicting emotions, I'm happy one second and then like angry the next. Oh, it's so good. If you like graphic novels, I do highly recommend reading these. Be warned though, for younger people, I wouldn't let anybody who was maybe under the age of like 16, 17 read these because they're quite graphic. Obviously, I said earlier they have a child and they have sex, and some of the scenes are like verging on pornographic, which annoys me. It doesn't need to be in the book. It doesn't need to be in the series at all. It's really good despite that. And I know they got a child, but you don't really need to see them making this child. I don't really think it's needed, if you know what I mean. So fair warning, if you are going to read it, or if you know someone that wants to read it, if they are younger, just bear that in mind. And obviously people get killed and there's beheadings and it's quite gory and things as well. But despite that, even though it doesn't need to be in there, despite that, the story is awesome. I love the story, love the characters, been invested in it right from the start. Can't wait for the next one. So I do highly recommend this. A few others I have to talk about which I don't have on me at the moment because I'm at my house and I'm at Lee's house. Another one I have to talk about is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I'm not going to go into spoilers with this one, but it's one of the best books I've ever read, one of the most emotional books I've ever read. I'm so glad that I started my book group on Facebook, because if I hadn't started that, I wouldn't have read this book. It is literally one of the best books I've read, and I will recommend it to everybody, even though I cried for days afterwards, literally for days and days after reading this book. One of the best books I've ever read, one of the best written books I've ever read as well. Ove is a hard character to like, a hard character to try and understand, but if you can understand him and have some patience to get to know him, it's so heartwarming and so sweet, but really, really heartbreaking at the same time. I do recommend it. If you don't like to be emotional and be sad when you read, I'd avoid it. But if that is something you enjoy, if you're a bit of a sadist like me and you like to punish yourself and make yourself cry and hate yourself, then I would read A Man Called Ove. Another one I have to talk about is, as anyone will say who is emotional when they read books, I'm sure you've heard it before, but The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Again, this book, even though I know what's going to happen, whenever I reread it or rewatch the movie, I will cry. Every single time I watch it. It's so well written. I've read most of John Green's books and it will always be my favourite one. So again, that made me cry for days afterwards. For days afterwards. I wasn't too bad when I was reading it, but I went downstairs and told my dad about it. As soon as I started talking about it to my dad, I just bawled my eyes out. So many books. Again, I didn't think I cried very much with books. Turns out I do. So, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, or click the little notification bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. Hopefully I'll see you very, very soon in my next video, and thank you very much for watching today. Bye!